Building a business isn't about just making a lot of money, getting successful, hustle culture, or any of that. It's about who you are becoming in the process. If you aren't paying attention to that, then no amount of success is ever going to feel like enough. Today, I'm going to break down the 3 priorities as I see them that I believe every entrepreneur needs to keep front and center to not only enjoy the business they're building, but enjoy the success that they're reaping. So let's get into it. Hello, kittens. Welcome to another episode of the brand new podcast with your girl, Miss K. Today, this conversation, I feel it's inspired by recent events, like most episodes tend to be lately. I've been really focused on leaning into this community thing that I've been trying to build, and the desire to build it has just been really like sitting almost like a pit in my stomach. I think because I'm resisting a lot of I'm resisting in a lot of ways to it. And I don't know fully why. I think, I've been beating the drum of this burnout for so long that I think now, in order to play safe, my ego is probably still beating that drum in order to keep me from taking action, which I think is something a lot of us can relate to. But in saying that, when I recently met with a couple girlfriends, one new girlfriend and an existing girlfriend who are both in entrepreneurship lately. I was introduced to a new entrepreneur, and she's creating this very similar idea, co-working space with the intention to build a community, offer resources, and a space for people in her industry to gather and connect and network and whatnot. And so quite similar in like a common goal. And it was really inspiring, and there was a lot of camaraderie and a lot of alignment over the true purpose and genuine desire to want to have a space for our entrepreneurs to mingle and network and, network beyond business goals kind of things and business gains. And it was a conversation that we ended up having that, we talked a lot about different things. We talked about a lot of how women are building businesses in a completely different way according to like the systemic masculine energy that's out there right now in capitalism. And with the rise of female entrepreneurs, I truly believe we're going to see a shift in the next few generations among the industries, among businesses, which is really exciting. So if you're an entrepreneur right now, I know in season 1, we kind of talked about how we were trailblazing. And I want to really remind you that if you're an entrepreneur and you're a millennial or maybe even a Gen Z, maybe even to a Gen X, boomers too, but especially in this day and age, this generation right now, we are trailblazers as women on entrepreneurship. I mean, it was only in the 1970s, 50 years ago, that women were allowed to get credit cards or open bank accounts. I think that was in the 80s. And, so a lot of things have changed in 50 years, obviously not fast enough or close enough or quick enough or any of that, but it's getting there. And so we are the trailblazers. We're setting in motion the change in this society, which is really exciting. But in saying that too, women are conditioned to be so hyper independent that it's also working against us in this as well. There's almost like a war that is happening between the innate desire and natural benefits of being a woman who are very in tune with community and villages and support and all that. Women have a natural ability to understand and an innate knowing to understand how important and how vital that is to not just their own success, but the success of the collective. But again, because we are conditioned to be so hyper independent in this society, we are working against ourselves in this area. And so there are lots, we're trailblazing, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And in this episode, I want to talk about 3 things that I think are almost non-negotiable for entrepreneurs now. And this is coming from somebody who has been a full-time entrepreneur. That means I quit my job to start a business with $0 in my account. I'm not somebody who, I've bootstrapped the entire thing. I took a chance on myself. I showed up for myself, and I did this almost 8 years ago. So I've been doing this for 8 years now. I've been through the trenches. I've built that successful business. I hit the milestones. I hit 6 figures in 1 year. I did all the success markers for a business. I grew too fast. I burnt out. Then I burnt it all down pretty much. Not literally, it was more metaphorically. I checked out with my burnout out and I lost my passion and my joy. And I have now for the last 2 years been realigning and reclaiming, as you've probably listened to the first episode where I touched on all this. But so I like to think that I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to the gruelities, the gruesomeness of entrepreneurship, as well as the advantages, and where I think we really need to have a big focus and where we need to have priorities, things that are not prioritized among women in entrepreneurship, even men. This is for men too. If you men are healing and doing the work and you're listening to this, then this conversation is for you as well. I think that this applies universally, but I'm speaking directly to female entrepreneurs because I see it impact them the most. And I'm also speaking from experience. So this conversation is going to be about those reflections that I've been seeing, the conversations I've had, my experience. And I want to talk about those 3 things that are non-negotiable, things that we need to prioritize as entrepreneurs if you really want lasting success, if you want a foundation that is unshakable, if you really want to enjoy the manifestation of, the fruit of your reward, the fruit of your labor, then I think these are the things that you need to prioritize. And the very first one is one that I hated when people said to me, like, this one really triggered me, but you need to have a clear vision. You need to know your why. You really need to understand in a deep, personal way why you're doing what you're doing. You need a clear vision. And I struggle with this. I really struggle with narrowing specific on a vision. I've always struggled with that. I like to think that maybe I'm getting better or it is something that I'm working on. So if it is a struggle for you, it has to become a practice for you to get very specific and get a clear vision as to why you're doing what you're doing and understanding your why. This has to go deeper than money. And I need you to hear me when I say that. It needs to go deeper than money. The financial freedom is great, but what are you actually trying to feel? By pursuing this, by starting a business and by going after this, by trusting in yourself, by showing up for yourself, by doing this, what are you trying to feel? Is it fulfillment? Is it peace, stability, freedom, impact? Get really clear on that. Understand your why. There is a really great book that had this ladder visual about understanding your why. And I think it was actually one of this law of attraction book. You know what, I'm going to find it after this podcast and I'll put it in the description for you to go and research, or actually comment if you're listening on Instagram or anything, and I'll let you know what the book is. But it helped dissect the why of why you're doing something and the goals that you're going after. And it was really actually quite eye-opening for me because it asked the right questions to be like, okay, what's the next step up from this? So yeah, you want to make money. Why do you want to make money? Okay, because you want financial freedom. Okay, but why do you want financial freedom? Well, because you don't want to feel this stress. Okay, so why don't you want to feel stress? Well, because I want to feel peace and be able to enjoy my life. Okay, but why do you want to feel peace and be able to enjoy your life? Because life is meant for, and it gets to like the very nitty emotional root of your why. And this is a really, really important thing to understand. And I think once you have a clear vision of that too, you need to have reminders of it everywhere. Like I'm talking, make this into a canvas, have it on sticky notes, remind yourself of this often, meditate on it often, and embody the feeling that you're trying to feel today and now so that you can align with it now. Because if you wait to start feeling that emotion, if you wait to start feeling good or successful or worth it until you hit any of these vanity metrics, then when you actually do hit it and it actually physically is there in front of you, one of two things or both of these things are going to happen. One, it's not even going to be that, it's not even going to phase you because you thought you were going to feel a certain way and you're not going to feel that way, and you're going to be left almost distraught and confused and lost. Or you're going to feel something and it's going to be short-lived, and then you're going to be confused and you're going to be like, well, what next? That didn't offer me the X that I thought it was going to. And you see this time and time again in celebrity culture. You see this with actors and musicians. This is not a novel idea or a concept that's off the cuff. This is something that's a very big problem, because we think that by achieving some sort of standard or some sort of goal, we're then worthy of X, that we've earned it, this damn mentality of earning things that are supposed to feel good to us. Like we're supposed to earn things that produce joy. Fuck out of here. That narrative just makes me so angry, obviously. But you have to learn to start embodying those things now. The very root of what you're trying to feel can be felt today and now without the manifestation present, because the manifestation is almost like it is the fruit to the actual tree. But the tree is really what sustained the fruit in the first place. And by being the tree, by living it now and embodying the feelings now, you produce more of the fruit that is in alignment with that feeling. And this, you kind of can work back from that. You can actually tap into things that produce that feeling now in order to produce more of it. This is the same idea around gratitude. By learning and having a gratitude practice, you find more things to be grateful for. Your perspective begins to shift as you start to practice, and this is a practice, something that needs to be practiced. Notice how many times I just reiterated that word. They need to be practiced. They get stronger. These processes get stronger. These ideas, these perspectives, the things that you're more grateful for become more pronounced in your perspective, in your vision, in your awareness, because you're attuned to them. So you can find things to be grateful for the more you practice gratitude. You can find feelings of success, freedom, stability, peace, fulfillment as you start to seek them now and tap into them now. And you will get clearer on that. You will get more aligned with that. Building these daily practices that connect you to that emotional state now and not waiting for someday is really important and part of that number one thing that you need to understand. When you have a clear vision, you understand your why, and you can tap into it now, you're not going to be swayed and impacted by the struggles and I'm speaking from experience. I was the type of person who had no foundation in her why, who I did have reasons, but I didn't have a clear understanding on my own why. And it's still something that I struggle with a lot to get specific on, as I've already shared. And when you don't have those strong foundations in your why, you're swayed when shit goes rough. When problems arise, you're also swayed when things are going really good because now you think you're worth it. It's almost the same idea as like what Gary Vee talks about when you're putting your content out on social media to any capacity and people who are afraid of the criticism and the critics. He talks a lot about having to be so indifferent to both the praise and the criticism, because if you put the praise on a pedestal, you're going to be more susceptible to the criticism impacting you in a way that is going to be very detrimental to your mental health, your goals, and your dreams. And that's the same thing when you're looking for validity from outside sources, from outside people, and you're looking to be validated by all these metrics, you're also going to be impacted when those metrics or those vanity metrics aren't giving you the likes that you want on Instagram, or you're not getting the feedback that you want or the recognition from your family. You have to learn to get clear on the root feeling of your why and a clear vision and start doing it now. All of your business decisions need to be anchored in that foundation. When your why is clear and aligned, you make better decisions. You're able to say, this is not in alignment with what the energetic state of my business and decisions is, my purpose, the goals. And there are different words you can use to explain all of this. This doesn't need to just be an energy thing. This is said about in so many different business books and podcasts with different linguistics. In the end, it's all the same message. When you're clear and aligned, you'll make better decisions and you'll stay more resilient during the hard seasons, okay? You'll be able to weather the storm when you're anchored in your why and you have a clear vision. Just like you're not going to be impacted by vanity metrics when your reel doesn't pop off, or you get a fuck ton of negative comments or bullies in the comments or whatever it is, because you're not swayed by the vain praise and the vain criticism. You have to have that really clear understanding of why you're doing this. What are you trying to achieve in it? What goals do you think are going to accomplish this feeling that you're looking for, and learn to embody it now? This is the number one thing, okay? The second most important thing that I think entrepreneurs really need to prioritize is their creative pursuits. and making sure that you're having time allocated every single day for yourself, some personal time. As entrepreneurs, it is so easy for our business to become our personality. This is me again. I'm speaking from experience, but we have to learn to creatively prioritize things that actually nurture our creative habits, our creative sides. There also has to be time for you to spend disconnected from business gains and being so hyper focused on how is this going to benefit my business and move me forward. You have to be able to encompass the whole side of you. And I understand how hard it is for a lot of people, because if you're somebody like me who loves the game and who loves entrepreneurship, who loves building businesses, it's almost hard to think, is there any other side? Like, I love this so much. I could do this all the time. I love building businesses. I love talking businesses. That's great. Do you also like bowling? Do you also like hiking? Do you also like X, Y, and Z? Whatever all these other hobbies or creative pursuits you have to learn to also integrate them into who you are as a person. This gives you the ability to be able to recharge, and it keeps you, you recharge for longevity. You recharge for sustainability. If you don't make space and prioritize things for joy and creativity outside of your business, you are going to burn out, full stop. There's no negotiables about this. It has to be something that you do every day, even if it's a 15-minute yoga routine or a 30-minute call with your friend, a 20-minute episode of Friends, cooking, taking some time to do some diamond painting, going and playing bowling once a week. There has to be things that is done for your soul. And it has to be something that you schedule it. You have to treat your hobbies and personal times as non-negotiable. This is something you need to put in your calendar. And I know how hard it is to hear this. And I know especially how much harder it is to implement, especially around the hustle culture narrative where you eat, sleep, and breathe your business and you don't stop, team no sleep bullshit. But that is not the way forward. That is a masculine, patriarchal, societal, dog eat dog mentality of entrepreneurship. And women understand the difference of doing things differently and doing things sustainably, doing things in a more healthy way, in a way that benefits the collective, that nurtures every aspect of you, that feeds your soul. Women already know this. It doesn't matter even if you're a top performing CEO. I can guarantee you top performing CEOs in businesses, financial baddies that are running venture firm capitalist firms or whatever, they all understand too that they need to prioritize times with their girlfriends if they have any, or they need to go out and be able to spend time with their kids at an event and a birthday. And every single one of them will tell you how good it is for them every time they do it. These are things that need to become a non-negotiable in these days and age of entrepreneurship. This is a disruptive way of doing entrepreneurship. It is changing the norm. We are changing the norm on so many different things through, we see this in marginalized communities. We see times shifting. Why are we not applying that same change to societal norms in entrepreneurship? Why are we still trying to build our businesses according to a masculine, patriarchal, dog-eat-dog state? This is not the way it needs to be done. And we don't want it to continue to be done by this way, because look at the society it has created. Look at how the 1% hoard the wealth. Do we really truly believe that if more women had more wealth, it would be that way? I can confidently say I know for a fact it wouldn't. Women are just built different. We understand things. We understand the importance of soul communities, prioritizing ourselves, self-care, nurturing things. You don't even need to be a mother for this. You don't even need to enjoy children for this. I know entrepreneurs, I know women who cannot stand children, who do not want to have kids, who don't like kids, and they're still some of the most selfless, giving people who give back to their community in ways that a mother would never be, some mothers that I know could never do. So this isn't about the, natural 3D world's perspective of what a feminine or a mother or motherly or feminine energy is. It's about the actual state of how feminine energy moves different. We need to learn to prioritize those things like creative pursuits, and having hobbies in our personal time also fuels innovation. Have you ever realized that the minute you stop thinking about a problem, the solution comes to you? The minute you pull back and are disconnected and are no longer worried about something, you get it. When you don't even want something, you put it out there and you forget about it, it comes. That's because you're no longer in that same energetic place now where what you've put out is consuming you. You're in a different state of being. Usually it happens when you're having a great time, or you're laughing, or you're with people, or you're in a state of flow and ease and meditation, or you're just calm, and the answer comes, the people come, whatever it is. Creative pursuits give your brain the space to make those new connections and spark fresh ideas for your business. Some of the craziest ideas I've had have come doing something completely opposite. Whether I'm gardening and I all of a sudden pull something up and I realize I say something in my head and I'm like, oh, that can be extrapolated to it. Oh my God, I just got an idea, and had absolutely nothing to do with gardening. Or some sort of like hobby, sticker by numbers. Like I do all kinds of little things now that I've never done before. I just got into like some diamond painting. I do sticker by numbers. I do color by numbers. I do spray painting. I like to go out and do things now. I try to do a lot more creative things to create those new pathways in my brain. When you do something new and creative or something that feels great to you, your brain is firing off brand new neural pathways and you're creating new thought processes in your brain. You're able to do things differently. You're able to see things differently. You have to prioritize that, not just for the business gains, but because you need to be able to nurture yourself outside of that and fill your cup. We all know the importance of this. We all know the importance of taking care of ourselves, but it needs to become a non-negotiable through our creative pursuits and our personal time. And finally, the third thing that I think, which is probably the most important one, and I've kept it till last because I just have a feeling I want to give as much as my energy to this as possible, but it is building your community, which I am fairly certain you're not going to be surprised to hear me say, because it has been the focal point of so much of my own passions lately. Time and time again, I have seen the benefit of this payoff every single time I meet with a girlfriend, a fellow entrepreneur who's got a business, or I meet a new entrepreneur. I have never not appreciated that meeting. I have never not walked away from something. I have never not had it benefit me in a way that fills my cup and speaks to me and inspires me and motivates me. And it doesn't need to be life altering, but it can be just slightly reaffirming, and it always is. And I'm not talking about networking events where the goal is a business gain. I'm talking about truly getting together with women who have businesses where you're there to talk about your ideas and talk about your problems and talk about your solutions and talk about what's going on next or where you're going next, or even just being able to talk about everyday things with entrepreneurs is different than people who are not in the game. I have found most of the time the conversation always comes back to our businesses in some way, which is fine, which is totally fine. I'm not saying that you can't not talk about business when you're having, even in your creative pursuits and all those kind of things. But the goal, the end goal, the intention for those cannot be, how can this benefit my business? How can I move the needle forward in this? It has to be bigger than that. It has to be bigger than that. No one builds a business alone. Okay, there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And let me tell you, as somebody who used to wear hyper independence as a badge of honor, I wish now that I could speak to every single entrepreneur that I've ever met and will ever meet and tell them that is not something to be proud of. That's a lie. Hyper independence is something that we have been conditioned to be that is actually incredibly isolating. I mean, aside from the fact that especially for women, this is often a trauma response, it's actually incredibly destructive and detrimental to us and our businesses as women if we are hyper independent. And the worst part about it is that we're conditioned to be. And we're always encouraged and rewarded or recognized or congratulated for being able to change our own fucking tires or and I'm guilty of this. Like I do this all the time. I can change my own battery. I can do all kinds of different things on my car. I can do all kinds of different things that, I don't need a man for, or I don't, but it goes bigger than that. It's not just you don't need a man for, it's like you learn to completely isolate isolate so hard now that you no longer have a village and a community, and that is not sustainable. You have to prioritize building a community. This is your number one thing above everything else, above understanding your why, above your clarity of vision, above prioritizing creative pursuits, above even having a business plan, all the bullshit. Prioritize building yourself a genuine community of entrepreneurs. I think that if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, especially, your focus right now, and if you're new in business as well, no matter what, actually, you know what, no matter what stage you are in business, you need to prioritize this. At least, like, you need to schedule it at least once a week. You need to schedule the intention to go out there and find entrepreneurial friends and build actual relationships with people beyond networking. This isn't about collecting business cards or DMing people on LinkedIn. This is about finding people who are going to see you, who are going to challenge you, and who are going to walk alongside of you, and who are going to rejoice with you and be excited with you when you do reach your goals. This is about true village, about true community. A community, and having that community and a support system is like an accelerator. If you have been trying to do this alone, the time to change that is now. You know, there's another saying, it's like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And I completely think that that is like extrapolated to this situation. Your community has to become a priority. There also has to be a shift in a narrative change. We have to do the work personally to change how we approach these situations. We have to be willing to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to be seen. We have to be open to these things. And I know it's incredibly hard because society also conditions entrepreneurs to be extremely reclusive about their businesses because you don't want somebody to steal your idea or take things from you. All of these things are very subtle ways that the conditioning, they keep you isolated. They keep you alone. And you know what's crazy? I finally understand DJ Khaled when he talks about they don't want you to win. They is they. Now, in order for you to take your business where you think it needs to go in order to reach your goals, you need a community and you need a support system that's going to be able to walk alongside you with that. You will not be able to do it alone. And even if you do it alone, if you reach a certain milestone, who are you going to celebrate with? When nobody's there to clap for you because they haven't seen what you've gone through, how is that going to make you feel? Like, yes, you can have that validation for yourself. And I truly am not saying that you need other people's validation to solidify what you've done, but sharing those joys with people who have wanted to see you succeed is going to feel 100 times better than having nobody to share that with because you were too scared to open up and you were too isolated or too independent to go and find a community. And not just for celebrating your wins, but when shit gets tough, and it will in entrepreneurship, when it's time and it's season for you to eat shit, or you're really scared because you don't know how you're going to pay your staff or pay your bills, your community is going to be there to help you. Your community is going to be there to support you. They're going to be there to mastermind with you, to cheer you on. You never know how the universe can align magical events to orchestrate, to work for you, to support you in everything that you do. But what you do know is that the more people you connect with genuinely, to build relationships with, to support with, the more resources you give the universe to also help you, to support you. The more you stay isolated, the universe is powerful. We hear all kinds of crazy stories where people show up on doorsteps, the funniest things. However, do you really want to wait for that to happen? Do you really want to isolate yourself to the point where you have to go through a lot more shit than's necessary than had you just taken the time to nurture those relationships and prioritize them? And I was talking to somebody about this recently as we were talking about our goal desires to create the community around entrepreneurship, building those entrepreneurial relationships and nurturing them. And I said, I think the biggest thing that we're going to have, the hardest problem that we're going to have to try to solve is the narrative around how important it is to prioritize this. Because we as women think that we can do so much alone that it's not important. And let me tell tell you, when you're down in the dumps and you have nobody to talk to, and this has been going on for months, like, yeah, you can ride out a few weeks or months on your own, but eventually comes a time where that spiral has gotten you so far down, you can no longer pull yourself out. You need support. Do you want to wait until that happens? Do you really want to wait and then realize that you could have built a support system to help you through that? Building the support system that is going to help you nurture that growth and that creativity and that resilience has to become a priority. And I think as long as we continue to ignore the importance of that and not prioritize building those relationships, we will continue to struggle far greater than we need to. We will continue to create more obstacles for ourselves. We will also rob people of the opportunities to share in, things that could also help them, share in great news. Like, what if your people are waiting for you to show up, to prioritize, to show up at an event, to whatever it is, because they need you to help take their business further. They need your energy, your friendship, your support. And I'm not talking about superficial relationships. The goal here is to really find the people who become your business besties, who become your soul sisters in business that are there. Women have this incredible ability to create very strong friendships. That is why the loneliness epidemic isn't hitting women as hard. Like, yes, it's still among women, but it's not hitting women as hard as it is men, because we have the ability to create these very strong relationships with women. And as somebody too, as a, healing tomboy or girl that was like, I never ever prioritized female friendships as a kid. I actually didn't feel safe among women for the majority of my life, because a lot of the bullying that I experienced as a child throughout all my adolescent, my life, even into my teenage years, came from a lot of women. And so for me, there was always a lot of internalized misogyny there too. But it was very hard for me. And as I got older, and it was actually the girls who I first, who were there to help me build the unicorn, who inspired the name The Unicorn, changed everything for me and really showed me the importance of nurturing those relationships and building those relationships with women. But we have to really understand how conditioned we are to be hyper independent, conditioned around the narrative to keep us isolated from each other. If women collectively came together, do you know how unstoppable we would truly be? The powers that be would not be able to stop women if we came together. That is just, look at the buying power women hold in the economy. Look at what happened everywhere Taylor Swift went on concert. The economies were boosted billions of dollars. Okay. Women have a lot more power than we're conditioned to realize. They know that, and they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to gather. They don't want you to find your squad and have that community, because if you do, everything changes. And it's about time that everything changes. So we need to start prioritizing those relationships among women that go beyond business gains and that go towards community and support, and finding people that truly resonate, truly align with your goals and your values. Find people whose intention align with yours. Because when you have that community, the strength and power that you will all hold in being able to lean on that community, and not only that, but the unique gifts that come from that collective support is immeasurable, is invaluable. You will be unstoppable as a woman in business, as an entrepreneur, as a trailblazer. So I hope that these three, foundational pillars, I guess, of entrepreneurship have resonated with you. This is how I see them now at the state of where, like I said in the beginning, as somebody who hit the metrics of success, who quit with nothing, who accomplished the things that I'm very, very proud to have accomplished and very grateful to have accomplished, but also burnt it all down from burnout and realized what was truly important through it. That's how I see things. This is that person. This is what I think is important today as entrepreneurs and what we need to prioritize. So I'm going to remind you to focus on your why and how you want to feel, not just what you want to achieve. You have to build your business and everything in your business around that feeling, around the alignment with that feeling. Next, make sure you are prioritizing time for your creative pursuits and your joys. Those are not luxuries, okay? Creativity and joy are not luxuries. These are necessities for building a sustainable, fulfilling business. And lastly, and most importantly, prioritize time to finding your people. I love you guys. This is Miss K. Go out there and build your businesses, build the life that you want. But when you do both, that's when it all starts to click. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. I'm out for now. I love you. Bye.